I'm Sarah Hanson, Editor-in-Chief of Art+Auction magazine, and we're here at the 61st Annual Winter Antiques Show at the Park Avenue Armory in New York City. I'm here with Sweeney Singer, the director of the fair, and she's going to tell us a little bit about the changes that we see today, some rebranding, a little bit of repositioning of a fair that has long been the sort of standard measure for antique fairs in New York City.
Not only is WAS the Winter Antique Show in the third week of January, but WAS is happening. The Winter Antique Show is far more than those who've never visited think it is.
And you have 73 exhibitors this year.
Yeah.
And they range from ancient Egyptian all the way up to 1969. Joel, can you tell me a little bit about what Connor Rosenkrantz has brought to the Winter Antiques Show this year?
Well, our gallery specializes in American sculpture and decorative arts, the 19th and early 20th century. So we have neoclassical marbles by Hiram Powers and Chauncey Bradley Ives. And we also have metalwork by Hunt Diederich and Samuel Yellen. Yale University has 3 or 4 gates by Samuel Yellen.
So very institutional quality.
Very institutional quality, but he did gates and decorative objects for private homes. And most people look at metalwork as just a piece of iron, but when you look at these objects very closely, you realize the extraordinary detail.
We're here with Modern Gallery from Philadelphia at the Winter Antiques Show, and I'm hoping you can tell me a little bit about your single artist presentation.
Yeah, we've decided this year to present the work of Tay Frid, who was a Danish-born but worked in the United States and was probably the most important teacher of the American studio furniture movement. One of the things that's interesting about him is that not only did he teach a generation of people, but they all then took what they learned from him and taught another generation of people, and so on and so on. And so oftentimes he is neglected in terms of his work because people are so focused on his role in education. And he wrote a major 3-volume work which is actually on the back wall here, right over there, which was teaching people how to do woodworking. So his influence was huge. One of the pieces that really stands out as combining both his Danish and American influences is the bench on the wall back here. One of the things that he did that nobody was really doing in the United States, but they were doing it in Denmark, is getting pieces off the floor, so that it was both lighter in terms of the way it felt in the space and also easier to clean under. Makes it nice. So he created this bench, but it's an amazingly functional bench because it was in an entranceway, and when you open the bench up, it's lined in brass so that you can throw your galoshes and your wet gloves and whatever inside of it.
Not going to leak.
Not going to leak. And in addition to that, he made these, now this is where the sort of design part, the American design part, he made these 4 holes on the left side of it, which accommodate umbrellas or canes. And so, and he puts it, that was a little bit of design for him. You know, it's a very simple, beautiful piece, very functional, which is very typical of him. But at the same time, he made these asymmetrical, kind of amoebic-looking
they're not even round
holes.
holes.
Right, exactly.
We're here with Glass Past, which is based in New York City and has a specialty in Italian art glass from 1860 to 1960.
Thereabouts, about 1970 at the
100-year span.
That's right.
And this is Sarah, and she's going to tell us a little bit about the presentation that she's put together for the Winter Antiques Show.
Oh, thank you. Well, what you see here is, as we said, Italian glass, and the walls that you see are actually taken from photographs from exhibitions in Venice. There were a series of exhibitions called the Biennale, and these are actually photographs from various biennales. And the cabinets that you see were actually inspired by cabinets that were used at the Biennale of 1952 in a special exhibition that Vanini created for that Biennale. And so this was our take on those cabinets.
What can you tell me about one of the larger pieces here in the booth? Something that you've been saving, perhaps, for the...
Well, actually, we very unusually have some very very large pieces, and large pieces of glass are actually very unusual to find because at a certain point they become so unwieldy and difficult to handle that there really aren't many of them made for, for lots of those reasons. So in any event, this happens to be one of the really spectacular pieces we have with us this time. This is called a fascia orizzontale. It refers to this banding, and it was designed by a man named Fulvio Bianconi in 1954 for the company Vanini.
We're here in the booth of Magenage, and they're a New York gallery specializing in Art Deco, modernism.
Correct. 20th century
20th
design,
century,
French.
all mostly French.
Correct, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Can you tell us a little bit about the presentation you've put together here?
Sure. Basically, we decided to show a majority of work by Jean Royer, which is this very well-known French designer. This piece was made in 1952, and for some reason, and I had the expert coming this afternoon. He was saying that it's rarely on the market. We can't really explain it, but it makes it obviously very rare. The quality of the craftsmanship is quite exceptional when you look at the modernity in the way this etching on glass has been carved. It's pretty phenomenal.
But the clear parts are so precise and absolutely crystal.
Correct.
When I look through
It reminds you more of a Mondrian-esque type of subject.
What are some of the other lamps you've got?
This lamp is actually a very important piece. It's by André Borderie. He's a French ceramist. He's probably one of the two foremost French ceramists from the mid-1950s. You have Georges Jouve, that you know of, and André Borderie. It's so abstract, it's so lunar. He really transcends the form and gives a function to the form by obviously giving this very little light.
Could you show us one of the older pieces in the booth, perhaps the Rollman or the Sornay?
Sure. I would show you the Sornay that's right there. It's a card game table, and this is actually opens and closes. This is pretty stupendous. You turn the top and you have a green top where you can play cards with, and otherwise you see something that is so achieved in terms of design. I mean, it's to me it's just so perfect when you look at the construction.
So with this presentation, are you trying to change the meaning of the word antique, shift it forward slightly?
Yes, we are trying to change the understanding of what an antique is, and many shows have simply chosen the word design, which has, for various reasons, a lot of appeal. Anyone we surveyed under a certain age, when we asked them if they were the least bit interested in antiques, they would say no. Design, yes. But for us, all antiques have something to do with design. They are not necessarily interchangeable. And we decided rather than giving up our brand, we would rebrand somewhat so that people would be more interested and intrigued in what our brand is. So we're not changing the name anytime soon. Many people just call us the Winter Show anyway, and that's good enough for us.